first accreditation overview for faculty. This should be an engaging and fun way for us to go through the accreditation process and some of the pieces of it, and to not only talk about it, but to also work through pieces that we don't always have time to work through when we're doing other types of work. So it should be not boring. If it starts to get boring, you can raise your hand and say, Therese, not interactive enough, and I will pivot back to my original plan. We're going to start with an icebreaker, and our icebreaker is going to be an activity that goes through our conceptual framework. How many of you guys have seen our conceptual framework so far or know what it is? Okay, so there's yeses and nos. Great. So our conceptual framework is actually right here. It's the image that's on the other side of our agenda. So just take a look, and we're going to have some more fun with it throughout our presentation today. Once we go through our conceptual framework and do some fun stuff with that, we're going to talk about what NAEYC accreditation means for faculty. And I'll preface that by saying that it is not more work. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how accreditation works and what your role in the data collection process is. Okie dokie. So,
Are you showing the page?
did it not share? Oh, okay, let me share.
I
Is
don't
that
see
just
it
me?
either.
Oh, well, there you go. Now I'm
There it
sharing.
is. Now,
So
yeah.
we're still
Woohoo.
recording.
Yes.
And here is our agenda for today. I've already talked about it briefly. We will be going over our conceptual framework. Let's see if clicking will get this going. Awesome. So this is our CNM Early Childhood Conceptual Framework. This was something that we designed in our first in our full-time faculty discipline meetings, and then we brought to our advisory council. We sent it out to part-time faculty, went through some revisions, and this is the final product. So let's take some time to just look at it. I'm going to give us a minute. In fact, I've got this, turning it over. We're going to take 1 minute to look at the conceptual framework. Okay, so one thing that we'll notice is that there are 3 sections, and they all fall under the category that says everybody shines. And so my interpretation of that is that CNM, or at least in early childhood programs, there is a place where everybody can succeed, or everybody can shine, everybody can demonstrate what they know with some level of success. These 3 categories, or what we called buckets when we first came up with this, followed the letters of SOUL. And SOUL is the name of our mascot, SOUL the sun cat. And for S, we came up with students and children, diverse identities, equity and inclusion, dual focus on educators and children. The O came up with, we came up with opportunities, student success, community partnerships, and professional commitment. And the L was for developmentally appropriate practice, or for learning, developmentally appropriate practice, ethical conduct, and intentional teaching. So for this next piece, I want each of you to pick a letter. And we're going to have to put this in the chat because I actually want record of this and I don't want to have to type it. But what I would like for you to do right now is I'd like you to pick a letter, and I'd like you to think about which bucket or which piece of this conceptual framework you feel most connected to in your current work, teaching, your coursework, and why. And we'll come back together. And since we're so small, we won't go into breakout rooms. We'll just share the one letter that we chose and why we felt so connected to that in our current work. So we'll take just a minute to think about that. And when you're ready, if you don't mind typing something brief in the chat, just to give me a reminder of what you said, that would be great. And then once you put that in the chat, if people would like to share, that would also be great. And if you're driving, please don't type in the chat. I will type it when you say it. Hmm. Okay, Gabby, why did you choose O? Well, do you mind telling us? Because I know it's in the chat, but there are people that I believe can't see the screen right now, and I'm doing it to record. So do you mind saying it also?
Well, that's one of the things, especially with the class, the first class, the ECED 1110. A lot of my students, I didn't complete that, sorry. I was typing that my students, many of them, this is the first time that they attend university. So that's a big deal for them. It's they're very scared. They do not know the technology, as you know. So that's one of the things that I love, is to encourage them and tell them, you can do it. I was once, like you were, attending for the first time a university class, and you can do it. I mean, no, maestra, but this, the computer. It says, no, 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 no. Forget about computers, let's focus on your class, and that you will be able to make it. I am not different than you guys are. I have not two brains. I have one brain like you guys do. So I love to encourage them, give them, that welcome. I even tell them, hug yourself, cheer for yourself, and let's get going. So I love that. When I read opportunities and student success, that's one thing that I really like to do for my students.
I love that, Miss Gabby. And I also think that I see you setting your students up for success all the time and supporting them. So I think that's awesome. Ian, would you mind sharing why you chose O?
Yeah, very similar to what Gabby shared, actually, but I often find myself saying in early childhood circles, there's no other state where I would rather work in early childhood education right now. We have so many exciting things happening in early childhood ed here in New Mexico, and so much support for it too, that it makes it extra exciting that we as an institution at CNM get the opportunity to reach so many students and support them on their pathways in the field, regardless of what their pathways are. And create those opportunities for, as Gabby was saying, students who've been out of school for a while or haven't had the opportunity to access higher education yet. So exciting place to be in early childhood education, and exciting to support students in their various opportunities in the field right now.
Agreed. Well, agreed in the sense that New Mexico is just this fabulous place to be. And I think it was actually you I was talking to about that earlier today. And I'm just so excited to see all of these educators advancing and just doing phenomenal things in early childhood. So this is great. Alma, do you mind sharing why you chose S?
Well, I chose S because I think that CNM is very inclusive. I mean, CNM is always being giving the opportunity to our students, and we serve students from diverse backgrounds. And so in my experience, I feel like, especially in our program, I mean, we've been able to support different backgrounds, different identities. Let's just put it away. And so I feel like when we do that and we support our students through that, I feel like CNM has been helping, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico in general, education through our students, because we are teaching our students how to be inclusive and how to be respectful from other students also. And so in my part, I feel like CNM has been giving them the opportunity to be inclusive, to respect identities, be equal to everybody. And at the same time, because we are teaching our students that and we represent that as a college, I feel like it's part of the love and the passion that we spread around our state. And that's why our students are always learning from us to support our students in New Mexico. That's it.
I love it. Thank you, Elma.
Mhm.
And choose L.
Najera,
Not, she might not be in a place where she can speak. Oh, no, there she is. There she
Sorry.
is. Okay.
Yeah, I just made it to where I need to be. Yes, I chose L. I was just thinking about now that I'm teaching the practicum course, and right away when I saw L, I saw that perfect connection to our practicum course, especially as we go into the observations and we're able to observe what we're teaching in the theory course, which is that developmentally appropriate practice, also the ethical conduct between our students, the children in the classroom, their collaborating teachers, and then ourselves too, in focusing on that intentional teaching and what that looks like for the course that I'm teaching, the infant and toddler course. And so when I saw that L, of course, there are other ones also connected, but that one just made such a huge connection. I had two observations today, so that's what I'm thinking about, and that's where my brain is going. But yeah, that's mainly where I'm making those connections.
I love it. And I love, in the observations, that competency-based piece, when we get to see that learning in action. That's one piece I miss about not teaching in a practicum course. That's something I loved. Jan, L again.
Yes, I also chose L. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. It asked me questions when I got on and I wasn't sure I answered them correctly. I just now was finishing up an observation, and that's why I popped in here late. So I'm with Stephanie on everything that she said. But the reason that I chose learning really is because of the professionalism course that I work so much on, and the ethical conduct that's written into L, because professionalism has to do with ethics and the NAEYC Code of Ethical Conduct, and helping students understand why that is so important and how it should be something that they incorporate into their everyday lives as teachers, to me, is really important. And then also intentional teaching. And so that falls down on me. And I think it's really important that I am intentional and I don't just show up to class and wing it. Instead, I try really hard to make sure that what is presented to them, and this is more in a face-to-face or Zoom session because I don't get to present myself nearly as much in a strictly asynchronous class, but I want to present myself letting the students know that I have prepared what they're going to be learning because it matters, and I want them to see it as important as well.
Lovely. And I thought you'd choose L because of the ethical conduct. So I was absolutely right.
Yes.
All righty. Well, that was fun. One thing that I do want to happen, and I'm going to start sending out ideas for ways to share the conceptual framework with students. I'm not going to lie. I have found all those ideas using my friend chat. And some of them are kind of silly, just like what we just did. But I think the more that we expose students to this, the more they'll know that it exists. And since it's new, I don't know that people know it exists. But as we continue to move through the accreditation process, it is pretty important that people know that it exists. So that is my ask. I guess I started this meeting and said there's not going to be more work, but I don't want to consider this more work. But when you have the opportunity, or it seems like a teachable moment, and you could include the conceptual framework in some way, shape, or form, that would be great. I do want to try to come up with a piece that we can plug into all of our shells, and I am open to any ideas that anybody else has about ways that we can get this out there. Except for social media, because I'm not willing to manage that. But CNM has something we could do for that. That's just the only suggestion that I've gotten so far. And I don't know that that's one that I want to explore yet. I'm thinking maybe if we start with our students in our classes and our Brightspace shells, that would be a great place to start. So, fun activity. Now moving on to NAEYC. Does everybody here know what NAEYC is? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. So I'm not going to explain that piece of it. What I would like to invite people to do is to, oh, I can't copy and paste this right now, but I would like you to explore the NAEYC website. I'd like you to Google accreditation or NAEYC accreditation for higher education. I'd like you to explore different things that are all NAEYC, but not necessarily the NAEYC stuff that has to do with our littles. Also the NAEYC stuff that has to do with institutions of higher education. Because one thing I will say is that NAEYC has a lot of resources that we can use as teachers and supplemental supports and other things. So the way that you get access to those resources is you become a member. Now, if you're not a member of NAEYC, what do? You send Teresa an email. You send Teresa an email. And then Therese sends Erica an email, or actually you could do it like Jackie and you could just send the email to Therese and Erica, and we will help you get that membership squared away as soon as possible. We do want all of our faculty to be NAEYC members and have access to all of the fabulous teaching resources that they have. And so it's important that people reach out and get those memberships going. And the next piece, is there anybody here who has had any direct experience with NAEYC that wants to share? Miss Gabby, you're muted.
Yes, long time ago, Catherine sent me and another teacher to a national conference. It was very, very interesting. I can't even remember, long time ago. Catherine was still, with us in that CNM. And I had no idea. Back then, I had no idea about NAEYC. I had to, before leaving to Minnesota, because that's where it was, in Minneapolis was a conference. It was a worldwide conference. It was very interesting. I learned about that. And then later on, I was familiar with some of the early childhood centers here in Albuquerque that were NAEYC accredited. And I was very impressed. So that was my first contact with NAEYC. Later on, well, when I, like Jen, I did the professionalism in Spanish long time ago, and I became a lot more familiar with everything that had to do with NAEYC because of the conduct of ethics, professionalism and everything. But that was my first experience, and it's been fun. I would like some time, if possible, to go to a professional development and that category of NAEYC. It's wonderful to meet teachers, administrators from other countries and how they see early childhood. It's fun. So that's my experience, Maestra.
That's
Could
really
I-
cool.
Could
That's
I
really cool
add,
that you got to go to an AC conference. Yes, go ahead, Jan.
the New Mexico AC conference is coming up in a couple of weeks. not this weekend, not the next, but the one right after that, at UNM, and you should go. I think you should go, and you should look for people that you know presenting.
Oh,
I'm sure that there will be a number of people that you'll see. The thing about going to the one that's here in Albuquerque is you always run into so many people that you know, students and other just professionals. So it's coming up. That's
thank
all.
you for letting me know. I went and I remember Jackie invited me, and it was some time ago, but it was fun because, like you said, I knew a lot of people that was presenting, and we had lots of our students. It was fun.
Well,
Thank you, Maestra Jen.
Miss Gabby, if you want to go, you send me an email and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, gracias.
Anybody else, and I'm thinking of people in particular, anybody else that has had any experience with NAEYC as an organization?
I did. I went to New Orleans, and I was one of the presenters back then that I introduced what it was back then, the EQUI Bilingual program. It was a success. We had an amazing attendance. So we have a lot of people asking questions about the program. I think a lot of people came out of the presentation with a lot of ideas in how to create their own program in their own colleges and stuff like that. So it was fun. I really liked it, and it was an amazing experience for me.
Awesome. Anybody else that's had experience with NAEYC as an organization?
Hey,
Jackie and
Teresa,
Ian?
I've had experience with NAEYC, but
Oh.
actually being an educator in the field. So ensuring that all of those standards are met in the classroom.
And that's a really cool perspective, I think, to come to higher ed with and help us understand it from that higher ed perspective. So that's great. Anybody else that may have had experience in the field and or experience with the organization? Well, I happen to know that okay, go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say, I think I saw Jackie's microphone go on for a second, so I was waiting to see if she was going to share. Well, I've been in the world of childcare for quite some time. I think this is year 24-ish, going on 24. So NAEYC's been, and most of that work has been specifically in childcare. So NAEYC's woven in and out of my career in a lot of different ways over time. Working in NAEYC accredited centers, opportunities to get in or to get involved professionally with the organization, and now my first opportunity and experience in higher ed accreditation through CNM.
Awesome. And I think that was one of the things that I really wanted pointed out was the affiliation with the organization. I think that we've got two full-time faculty members who are with us who have experience within that organization in different roles that are administrative type roles. Jackie is, and she put this in the chat, she's a peer reviewer. So she gets to do site visits. So we've got people on this team, and I don't think I realized this until I was doing the faculty characteristics chart, that have touched all aspects of NAEYC. And that's really powerful as we as an institution go through the higher education accreditation process. I think that any feedback from field or from the board or from the peer reviewer perspective, or even just from the faculty perspective, is really important in how we can structure things. Because one thing about accreditation is that accreditation really shouldn't be extra work. It should be